Cyberpunk 2077 is remembered for two good reasons: customizable genitalia and disappointing the entire gaming community, burning the goodwill CD Projekt Red built up with their previous game of the generation, The Witcher 3. But that was 3 years ago, and I haven't touched the game since. After spending quite a bit of time with the game's biggest update yet, it's safe to say the true Cyberpunk 2077 has finally arrived.
Let's roll.
Hi, I'm Mason. You're watching Amateur Game Review. Let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 and its expansion, Phantom Liberty. It's a common theme these days for a game to have a redemption story. No Man's Sky, Fallout 76 to an extent, and now Cyberpunk is finally having its moment to shine. Like it or not, that's just the state of modern gaming. I won't go into details regarding the rough state Cyberpunk was in when it launched, because I really don't want to beat the dead horse. And to be honest, the performance was only a fraction as to why I was disappointed in Cyberpunk. I was disappointed with the lack of features that were promised by the devs. They had the audacity to gloat on social media about how their police wanted system is superior to Grand Theft Auto, when in reality was somehow worse than, at the time, an 8-year-old game. And don't even get me started on the genius idea to have ordinary clothes function as armor without a transmog system. It caused all of our characters to look like preschoolers dressing themselves on school picture day. This was supposed to be one of the true next-gen gaming experiences, and Cyberpunk fell flat in almost every aspect. At least for me. I know Zach said in his initial review that he enjoyed Cyberpunk, but this is my video, I don't care what he thinks.
But I'm the only one with a vision. So unless you got a better one, like I said, go fuck yourself!
If you haven't played Cyberpunk before, here's what you need to know. You play as someone called V. The story follows V in the not-so-distant year of 2077, taking place in the neon-drenched Night City after he steals a relic chip from the Arasaka Corporation, which in turn ends up jammed into his skull, only for V to discover the relic chip contains the long-dead digital ghost of Keanu Reeves. The story then goes on to have V trying to find a way to get rid of Keanu Reeves. I know that sounds weird. From what I've heard about Keanu, he sounds like a wonderful human being, but in Cyberpunk, he's just an asshole.
Stick some iron in your mouth and pull the trigger.
Despite its issues, Cyberpunk's story was captivating, and it still is. Nothing about the narrative has changed in 2.0, but everything surrounding it has been remade, revamped, and redone to the point Cyberpunk doesn't even play like the same game. The combat is different, the skill tree is different, the police response is better, and clothes are just now clothes. But Projekt Red went even further to add a bunch of smaller changes without the game ending up like the special editions of the original Star Wars trilogy. For instance, I've read about a couple of scenes that involve V and Johnny having different voice lines depending on if they're on good terms or not. A good example is the Delamain questline. If you went straight into this questline right after Johnny told V to eat some iron, the dialogue was awkward and the two acted like they were on friendlier terms. I actually did this questline as soon as I could because I wanted my car back, and I'd wager most other players did as well, and it took me out of the immersion because Keanu literally just told me to off myself, and now we're friends? 2.0 changes the dialogue if you choose to do this quest first, with some voice lines that fit naturally for the situation. Again, it's a blink and you miss it sort of thing, but it goes to show how Projekt Red wanted to make this update the best version of Cyberpunk possible. Some of the biggest changes, and the ones you'll first notice, is the gameplay and the skill tree reworks. Cyberpunk's gameplay was fine before. It wasn't the best shooter ever, but it served its purpose. The only real complaint I had about it was that you really couldn't create a specific build. It forced you to be a jack of all trades of sorts. In 2.0, you still have the basic attributes you need to level up, like intelligence, body, and technical abilities, but the new skills available for each attribute allow you to focus on making a unique build that really impacts the way you'll play Cyberpunk, and in turn brings Cyberpunk more in line with traditional RPGs. Right now, I have my build set as a stealthy ninja hacker, so I'm focusing on skills involving blades, hacking, and sidearms for some range. I've never been excited on the concept of spending skill points, but each point I do spend in Cyberpunk actually changes the gameplay in some dramatic way. As I better my blade skills, I can deflect bullets, dash, and perform some sick finishing moves that remind me so much of Doom Eternal's glory kill system. The best part is, if I really wanted to, I can easily respec into a bodybuilding minigun wielding maniac with the press of a button. Hell, you can focus solely on hacking and not have to worry about guns at all if you really want to. It's a good amount of depth to appeal to a bunch of different playstyles while actually feeling like you're progressing your desired skill set. As for basic gameplay mechanics, Projekt Red have changed the way Cyberpunk plays. For starters, stamina is no longer drained by sprinting and jumping around, but by using your weapons. That's obviously nothing new. Souls games have had weapons using stamina since 2009. However, I've yet to see this implemented in a shooter before, and now I want every shooter to have one. You can keep shooting your gun if you're out of stamina, but your accuracy gets worse, and so does V's ability to control the gun's recoil. It's so simple, but it blew my damn mind once I figured it out.
Wow.
Health packs and grenades are no longer treated as pickups, but are now used as a resource that regenerates over time. I understand it for health. I prefer just upgrading the inhaler at the clinics, but I don't fully understand how grenades regenerate. The only thing I can think of is the devs didn't want us to spam grenades every 2 seconds. I don't know. It's honestly an odd choice, I think. It's when you throw cyberware into the mix that Cyberpunk's gameplay truly begins to shine. Now, cybernetics have been in the game since launch, but just like the rest of the game, significant changes have been made. For starters, your character's body can only handle so many cybernetics at once. You can't go over the cybernetic capacity limit, or else your body will fail according to the game. The limit will increase as you level up or unlock perks that increases it by itself, which then allows you to buy new things from the various Ripper docks found around Night City. But the cyberware's functionality is different as well. The cybernetics for your brain mostly involve hacking, the arms deal with weapons and combat, leg cyberware is for mobility, but the biggest improvement for me is the skeletal cybernetics that now provide you with armor, letting your clothes be cosmetic only. I can't help it, I consider myself a fashionable guy. I like my characters to look nice. Though you can find pieces of armor that stack on top of whatever your cybernetics are capable of. I can't possibly list off every cybernetic in the game, especially when Phantom Liberty adds some really cool new cyberware itself, but I'll tell you this. Everything from the cybernetics to the gameplay and the new skill tree, they all come together to bring a whole new way to play Cyberpunk 2077. To the point, it's not the same game as it was in 2020. It's how the game should have released 3 years ago. And as much as I hate that it took this long to play the game as intended, I'm glad the devs put in the time and effort and not just throw Cyberpunk to the side like Electronic Arts did with Anthem. And that brings me to the final change to the game that I'm going to talk about, and that's the Night City Police. The police function very similar to the cops in Grand Theft Auto. If you're on foot, they'll chase you on foot. If you escape in a vehicle, they'll drive after you, giving you a chance to try out the new vehicular combat. But as your notoriety goes up, the cops will put up roadblocks, drones will start flying around, making it harder for you to hide. And once you reach a level 5 notoriety, Max Tac will come in and God help you, you are screwed.
There's some real pretty shit now, man! You finished?
Let's move on to Phantom Liberty. Phantom Liberty is the first and only expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. It puts V in the middle of an action spy thriller where he's thrown into a whole new section of Night City to save the president. The president's ship, Space Force 1, crash lands in the lawless Dogtown, which is ruled by the warlord known as Kurt Hansen, very reminiscent of John Carpenter's Escape from New York. Dogtown is the last place for the f***ing president to crash down in, and for some reason, V is the only one who can save her. Or not. It's possible to fail the entire DLC right at the beginning just by saying you want no part in this mission, or by failing one of the first objectives you get. Yeah, you can be completely locked out of this $30 expansion and forced to reload an earlier save or go on with the base Cyberpunk storyline. The story begins with V being contacted by Songbird, one of the president's aides, who wants V to help rescue President Myers from Kurt Hansen, and in return, she will help V with their little Keanu Reeves issue. V rescues Myers, but loses contact with Songbird in the process. Worried about her missing aide, Myers asks V to get in contact with Solomon Reed, played by Idris Elba, who's a former sleeper agent stationed in Dogtown. As you progress through the story, you'll learn that Solomon isn't stationed in Dogtown, but actually trapped there. And the more you talk and progress your way through the story, you start to think that everyone involved, the president included, is into some pretty shady stuff. Once you think you figured out what's going on, 10 more questions come about. Everyone knows Projekt Red loves putting their players in morally gray predicaments, but the more I play Phantom Liberty, the more I don't trust anyone. Everyone just comes across as a shady piece of shit, but it's what makes the game fun, and your decisions feel like they actually have some weight. I mean, right in the prologue, you have a choice regarding some people's lives, and it goes as far as entire missions failing if you choose the wrong dialogue. It's a very narrative-driven DLC, but it also features quite a few activities to do outside of the main mission. One involves you stealing cars and delivering the vehicles to a random point on the map, which can be repeated infinitely so you have a decent source of income. Another involves these random airdrops of loot that you have to defend from the other factions who want it.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Overall though, I think Phantom Liberty is one of the best expansions to ever come out. It offers a damn good story that doesn't really contradict with the main Cyberpunk storyline very much, but actually gives the player a whole new ending to the base game, expands upon some of the other possible endings, and simply makes Cyberpunk a better game. Just the basic 2.0 update had me fall in love with a game I didn't really care for that much to begin with. And really, I can recommend Cyberpunk in 2 different ways because of this. If you didn't care for Cyberpunk at launch due to the performance issues or just didn't like the gameplay, try it again with the free 2.0 update. The performance issues are practically non-existent, the gameplay is much better, and like I said, it's free. You don't need Phantom Liberty to access the changes, just simply re-download the game. If you liked or even loved Cyberpunk in its previous forms, you will love both the update and the expansion. It's more Cyberpunk for Cyberpunk fans.
Wake the f*** up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Thank you so much for watching. It's been a long time since my last video, so I apologize if I was a bit rusty, but I can promise you, the short break will be worth it. I have quite a few videos in various stages of completion that I hope all of you enjoy. If you're new to the channel, then give this video a like if you enjoyed it. We're 3 friends who started this channel to talk about one of our favorite hobbies, and the love and support our small channel has gotten means the world to us. Thanks again everyone, I'll see you in the next video.